Hey guys, another edition of Quarantine with Coach. Today got Andrew Prevost, the offensive line coach at the University of South Dakota. How you doing today, Coach?
Fantastic. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing well, man. How many Zoom meetings do you average a week right now?
I've logged some days with 12 hours, but anywhere between 6 to 11 hours a day
Wow.
is usually when I'm on there.
I
So,
saw
but
you. I saw your latest tweet, the dance party, the Zoom. Kudos to you on the song choice, and it seemed like you got a majority of offensive linemen dancing on film. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, we make them do that stuff just for social media at that point. So, they don't have a choice. People think that that's me getting creative and getting things out of them, but we just, it's very funny. We also have a picture that's out there, and it's us like outside on our new practice facility, and it was after a practice, and we're all smiling. It looked like a happy family. And the funny part about that picture that nobody knows about is, like, we had a shitty practice that day, and I ran the heck out of my first. I usually don't, but like, I was upset, so we just went up and down the field. And it was, the funny part is like, hey, this is what real families do. All right, we're gonna sit down, everyone fake smile like we all love each other right now, even though we're mad as hell, and be a real family and take a picture. So it's we look like a loving family, but they're all about ready to kill me right before that picture was taking place. So
That's awesome. You got it. Hey, I appreciate the appeal to create some social media content, man. That's awesome.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's important, for recruiting, but it's also important for the sport, and it's important for our guys, and make sure that they're involved. And I think one of the things as college coaches that we have to become more accustomed to, and our younger coaches are doing a better job of it. But families and parents are part of college coaching right now. If you want to be successful and have your kids really bought in, you got to have a relationship with their families, and you got to continue to grow that.
Right, absolutely. Hey, you're the offensive line coach now at the University of South Dakota, but just looking at your career path, you've been a couple different places, you coached a couple different positions. You just talk a little bit about your journey in coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always tell my guys I was a bad Division III football player, and that's they're all a better football player than I ever was. But I'll tell them I'll take them any day of the week because it's will before skill. But so I started played football at Wisconsin Eau Claire for Coach Glazer. He's a big mentor of mine, along with Coach Kender, my offensive line coach, who's now a high school coach in Wisconsin. And from there we went. I actually signed a contract to join the private sector, join the business world, and I was on my way out. I had 1 year of school left. Coach Glazer brought me in his office and said, "Hey, we could really use your help." So I started assistant coaching with the offensive line. A week into fall camp, the offensive GA kind of flaked out. I ended up being the running backs coach, and I had no idea what I was doing. Those poor kids. I watched. I'll never forget this. I watched a Tom Osborne VHS tape that had like 35 minutes of drills on it, and I swear to God, those kids did those drills the whole day. That's all we did. I had no idea. Like, I just copied those drills. The only coaching points they got were off the tape. Thank goodness they were somewhat successful. Coach Glazer worked for Coach Nielsen back when he was at Eau Claire. I got the opportunity to go to Minnesota Duluth and work under Todd Strout for 1 year, and then Coach John Steger. And Coach John Steger, honestly, is probably had more in his 1 year, more on my development and as a football coach than probably anybody has, as far as from a work ethic and a football understanding, and just really how to treat kids and how to put players first. He's absolutely incredible. I also got to work with Tyler Yelk, who's now at Temple, Coach Weezy, who's the head coach there now. So there's that was a really, really good football staff that I got to work with, and I learned a lot. I coach outside linebackers. If I knew nothing about running backs as a bad Division III lineman, I knew absolutely nothing about outside linebackers in a 3-4 defense. So trying to figure out what a curl route was a problem in itself. But let's add to that the fact that those poor guys just ran hoops the whole time, because I saw that on some sweet pass rushing thing. Fortunately, my first year I had two All-Americans. So they taught me a heck of a lot more than I taught them. Derek Zappa, who's still a good, I keep a relationship with all my players I played with, and Rob Huberty, who's now a coach at Dubuque, who's one of the few players I've had that are in the coaching world now, and he's doing a good job, and he's a good football coach. But those guys taught me a lot, and then I had some younger guys the second year. When Coach took the job at Western Illinois, he had me come down and I worked as the assistant D-line coach under the current head coach at North Dakota State, Matt Entz. And that was a great learning experience. Coach Entz did an awesome job mentoring me, took me under his wing, gave me an opportunity to learn the ins and outs. And he really, very much like Coach Stager, taught me about detail, and how important it is to give your kids and be specific, give your kids information, and explain the whys, explain why you need to do these things, and to build some more relationships. After 1 year at Western Illinois, Coach Nielsen was actually the tight ends coach. He stepped back to the head coach. And as far as mentors go, obviously, there's very few people in this profession. This will be Coach Nielsen and mine 10 years together. Coach hired me when I was 23 years old, and I've never worked for anybody else, and I've been really fortunate. 3 different places, but I've had one boss, and he's an awesome guy to work for, and truly, he's family to me and my mentor. And but he was a tight ends coach. Stepped back. I was a tight ends coach there for 2 years. Worked for our offensive coordinator and one of my best friends, Coach Schlofke, who's another one of my mentors and one of the smartest offensive minds I think there is in the country. He has taught me more about football than I'll probably learn from here on out. And he continues to develop himself and help develop me and our staff. But I learned so much about route running and different. There's my left guard. He's our nanny. It's walking. Hey, desperate times. You gotta do what you can do. So, but at least I get to see one of my players on a day in, day out basis now. So I learned a lot about route running. I learned a lot about pass concepts. And I learned a lot about the whole scheme run game. Then I had the opportunity to go to University of South Dakota, where I am now with Coach Nielsen, where I coached tight ends for 2 years. At Western Illinois, I also got a chance to learn from Coach Blazik, who's now the O-line coach at NDSU. He was at Rutgers, and then Coach O'Boyle was the offensive line coach when I first got here when we first got to USD. Coach O'Boyle took the job at Kent State, and I've been coaching the offensive line here for the last 2 years.
Awesome. And
sorry, that was a little longer than probably expected, but
no, you're good. You're awesome. You touched on this a little bit. You spent a little bit of time, albeit brief, at the Division III level. Obviously, you're a player there as well. Can you talk a little bit or just touch on your roots at the Division III level and how it's helped you for the Division I job that you currently are sitting in?
Oh, absolutely. I tell people this all the time. I'll never forget my first staff meeting. We sat in a room with 6 guys, and I'm talking like we're the 6 coaches. We are the director of football operations. We are the equipment guys. We are the laundry guys. We are, half the athletic training staff. You name it, the video staff, the GAs. The 6 of us were it. And now at the University of South Dakota, we have 16 guys, and that doesn't count our full-time strength. That doesn't count our full-time training staff. That doesn't count our full-time. We have 3 full-time academic staff members. So we have 16 just football coaches that show up every day and sit in a room between, full-time guys, GAs, ops guys. And I feel like I work just as much now as I did before. But, the thing that it taught me was probably more than anything is to be a little bit humble. Like, don't be afraid to take the kicking net off the bus. Like, those are, help, like it's a tough road. And, what we're doing this for is to make sure our players don't need to have to do those type of things, and to make sure that you can do those things and, help each other out. Because at the end of the day, Coach Landry, I watched the show with Coach Landry right before I got on here, and he said, check your ego at the door, which is a great phrase. And, because we're all in this for the same thing. The end goal is to win games and develop young men. And in order to do that, you can't be too proud to do anything. I think I learned that at the Division III level. I learned how to manage my time because you do have so many more so many more responsibilities outside of football at that level. As a graduate assistant, I mean, a lot of those guys are, have to have jobs, supplement pay if it's, so you don't get as much time, I think, to develop. But what I always tell is like, hey guys, do whatever you can, make the sacrifices you can make to learn whatever you can. But I think it prepped me, and then going to the Division II level, you now you add like the strength guy, you add a little bit of equipment, and now, but like I still ran the golf outings, like you still do that kind of stuff, and now like here at South Dakota, every spot that we've moved up, it's like I don't do anything. I literally coach the offensive line, I recruit the state of Iowa. That's it, and I mean, and it's fun and it's enjoyable. But now the cool part is I got to put all my time and effort into my players, and those things. But the one thing is, and I think we got, don't take it for granted, and don't take it for granted. All those people are working really really hard for your kids too, because they're just as important as you are. So.
Yeah, I've been able to, been fortunate to be a part of some of these Zoom meetings that I asked you out, or in the beginning. And I know one thing I've learned about you is you're passionate about team building. You're passionate about building a culture. Can you just touch on some of the things that you've learned and some of the things you maybe have done to build the culture of the offensive line room at South Dakota?
Yeah. The first thing that I'll tell anybody that comes into play for me, I think it starts in the recruiting process. And I truly believe that when I got here 2 years ago, I'll be honest with you, or when I took over the program, I wiped out a lot of the room. I think it takes and it's not that they were bad kids. I think you need to develop kids, and here's the deal: who you have is who you have. There's nothing more that drives me nuts than guys that come into a new staff or things like that. We'll wait till we recruit our owner, like they're yours, and make the most of it, develop what you got. But people that I need guys that want to put in a lot of effort. So from the recruiting process, I'm going to talk to them about, hey, if you don't want to put in more time than anywhere else in the country, don't come here, because that's going to be part of the deal. I've had kids thrown off by that, and that's fine. They wouldn't be a good fit here, because that's going to be tough for some of the older guys in the room that have been doing that and get along with those guys. But the next thing I tell my guys when they come in, the first thing that they all know, and I got this from Joe Ehrman. I had a unique opportunity. Joe Ehrman was an offensive lineman for the Colts, or defensive lineman for the Colts way back in the day. He had problems with drugs and alcohol and party and things like that. Kind of found the Lord. He's now a football coach and a preacher out in Baltimore. But he's got a bunch of books out. Anyways, I had a unique opportunity to meet him and had an opportunity to spend a whole day with him in college. And one of the things that I got, and it's in his book, but I use it all the time. And I tell my guys this: I don't have rules. The only rule I have one rule. I said, don't ever lie to me. I can get over anything, but don't lie to me. I can fix anything as long as I know what's going on. And but I always tell my guys it's their job to love each other. It's my job to love them. And I think too often coaches that are in our profession, they want to be liked, and it's not our job to be liked. It's our job to make sure that that's a great bonus. Obviously, you want to be liked, but that's not the job. The job is to make sure that you're creating better individuals, creating better young men, and production on the football field. But you gotta be yourself, and those guys see that. So what we talk about all the time is I use the word love. As you see my guard holding my little daughter as he walks by into the kitchen.
Perfect timing for that.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, these guys will be the first ones to tell you it's weird, but I'll kiss them on the cheek after games. I hug them daily. I tell them I love them. They're my kids. I'm passionate about them. I care about them. If I don't see them in a week, I'm going to FaceTime them. I'm in constant communication with all their moms and dads via text message and how they're doing, where they're at in life. I think our culture, especially our younger culture, are a lot more emotional than even what we are here in our 30s, and especially older coaches. And you got to kind of get in touch with these guys on that. Otherwise, you're not going to get them. And you got to be yourself. But one thing I need to make sure that my guys know is that they're cared for and that I love them. And that allows me to coach them pretty hard.
Awesome. Hey, Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you've been doing this now for, I think, close to a decade. And obviously you've had some great success moving up the ranks and working for some great football programs, some great people. What's some advice you would give to a young coach who's trying to emulate your career?
Yeah. I would really focus on, be yourself. I mentioned that earlier, and it's a mistake I made when I was younger. Is I saw a lot of really, good coach. I'm like, well, I'm going to be that guy. You can take things from people. And Coach Andrew said best. You can learn from anybody. You really can. I pick up things from youth camps. I pick up things from, women's basketball practice. I'll pick up things from whatever it is. Different coaching points, all different kinds of things, and have an open mind to learn, but be yourself. If you're emotional, be emotional. If you naturally don't yell, scream, and swear, don't do it. Guys see that stuff. If that is you, then get pissed and do what you need to do. But I think, one thing that a lot of coaches, I think kids aren't stupid. They know when you're not being genuine. Be yourself, be genuine. And truly, my big thing is every decision that you make, and I think Coach Nielsen knows this better than anybody in the country, but every decision you make is, are you doing it for your players? Because there's football teams without coaches out there. I know University of Milwaukee is one of them. There is no coaches without teams. It doesn't work. If I have nobody to coach, I'm not a coach. And so you got to make sure that you got those guys in a situation where this is their thing. But learn everything you can. I'm not great at social networking. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not great at, some people that have probably worked with me know that I'm really, really blunt, because I'm going to be here for the kids first, and it is what it is. And that bothers some guys, and that's fine. But I want to make sure that, be yourself and make sure that you're doing it for these athletes, I think is the two biggest things I can do. And then, the other thing is do whatever you can to learn and outwork everybody. We're all busy and we all have families. We all have other stuff going on. But, if when you're at work, like I think a lot of times people think, if you just show up at 4 a.m. and stay till 10 at night and you're just chatting with random people for 10 hours of the day, you're not actually working. So take advantage of your time. And I'm not saying don't build relationships, but at the same time, put in time and effort and make sure that the stuff that you're doing is going towards helping out your players and helping your team and moving forward and winning football games.
So that's a great answer. Hey, before I let you go, got time for a little rapid fire action?
I have all the time in the world. So I mean, I have until 2:00 is my next Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say until your next Zoom meeting. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, what's been your go-to quarantine meal?
I'm a grill guy, and people that know me know that this quarantine is affecting everyone poorly, but maybe me more than anyone. With my social, I have a social addiction to people, and especially my players and my guys, and so that itself has been a struggle. Thank goodness for Wallace here, but it going outside and grilling has helped. Me and Austin have also built a basketball court in my back patio. So with the grill, that's helped.
Awesome. Hey, what show are you currently binging?
It sounds nerdy, but honestly, I really usually just watch Football Lives or like YouTube documentaries on different football things. So our special teams coordinator, linebackers coach, makes fun of me constantly and tells me that like I have no other knowledge or interest from like the last 10 years besides football related things, including books and podcasts. And but yeah, so that's all I really do.
That's fair. Hey, one thing you miss about living in Wisconsin?
Spotted cow, no question. And Coach Allen, he helped me out when he came back out here, and I missed that part. And honestly, like there's some good golf courses out here, but not like there. I love to play golf, and I'd also like to play golf without so much damn wind all the time that's sitting out here. But so I miss golf and beer, I guess would be the two things.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say that or cheese curds, so that's good.
Absolutely miss cheese curds too. I mean, that's up there, but not spotted cow up there. You can at least buy cheese curds here. They just call them cheese balls.
Right, exactly. Hey, before I let you go, last question here. If you could build the perfect offensive lineman, who would their game most assemble?
You know, being a 33-year-old from Wisconsin, if I didn't say Joe Thomas, I don't think that that I'd be able to come back into the state. And honestly, the thing I like about him, and I'm going to go a little bit longer on this. I don't care, Coach Shields, if we run out of time or not. But is he has a very similar thing that I try to instill in my players. It's very funny if you like. I got South Dakota State game. We're in the middle of a tied game in the third quarter or a one-score game, whatever it is. And the left guard you just saw walk by, or it was either him or my starting right guard or something. I mean, they snapped me with a towel in between drives on the side. My guys are as loose as you're going to get in a game. You know, I have to calm Austin down, making fun of our right tackle during the game. Like, I mean, from whistle to whistle, they're going to play extremely hard. But, like, we're not like guys that are like, oh, like, we are going to joke around. We're going to have fun. We're going to be loose. My guys know that, you know, there's times where, hey, we're serious. But my guys have a confidence and a swagger to them. And Joe Thomas had that too. It's not – I don't think you need to have a mental edge of wanting to go kill somebody to play football. I think that this isn't 1950. You got to be smarter than the guy across from you. You got to be mentally tough. Being physically tough means nothing if you're mentally tough. It's all mental.
Yeah, it's interesting that you know where you grow up influence. Here I am, an offensive lineman, mid-30s like yourself, and I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. So my answer on this question on a different podcast was Orlando Pace. So I guess
Probably second, honestly, but
whoever you grow up rooting for is where you're going to side with, maybe. But both are obviously phenomenal offensive tackles. Hey, Coach, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on Quarantine with Coaches.
Absolutely. I appreciate what you're doing here. And I look forward to watching more of these. You're doing a great job. And congratulations on all the success that you guys have had. And appreciate your time and letting us keep spreading the good word of football during these tough times.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach.
You bet. Take care.